And welcome back to Religion in the News. My guest today is Rick Alvis. He's the president and CEO of Wheeler Mission. And welcome to Religion in the News. Good morning.
Good to be here this morning.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Well, you are the man. I don't know about that or not. You're the man. You're the man. So, you know what? We were talking, and I think it's just great what you're doing. And we talked about the tremendous responsibility. But what I like what you said, you gave credit to the 120 staff members of the organization. I think that I applaud you for that, because it takes a great person to say these people are actually the one that's behind the scenes doing the work, and you're just overseeing it to make it run successful. And another thing that I like that you said is success is measuring changed lives. Can you talk about that when we talk about Wheeler Mission and what you meant by that?
Yeah, when you talk with businessmen, the bottom line is usually what's the stock price today, or what's the dividend today, and for us, since we're not for profit, we don't have stock anyway, but it's the bottom line to us is the changed lives, and seeing people who come in off the street, who perhaps have been addicted to drugs and alcohol, who now come out of that lifestyle and are now productive people, and and they're employable people, people that industry and the community would be proud to hire, and to see their lives has changed from the inside out. Because really, our staff are on the front lines. We have a fairly lean administration. We like to put all of our funding out, and with our staff who are out there on the front lines, and because they're the ones who are making the impact, and they're building the relationships. Yeah, you can preach the gospel and you can share Jesus, but you also have to have the relationship in order to build, a great person beyond that. And so I really compliment our staff for what they do every day. And
that's commendable. Now, when you talk about relationships, because that's what it's really all about, and you talk about Christmas is about relationships. So reestablishing relationships. So how's that managed through your programs? Because I know we talked about you have 3 divisions, the men, women, and you also have another division, the addiction. Right. So let's talk about those and mending those relationships and how you work that process.
Yeah, that's really a tough area, because so often I think has already been referred to here is that they've burnt some bridges, some of the people who come to us, and so it's a mending of those bridges again, and building relationships. First of all, they have to build a relationship with Christ, and then once they build that relationship with Christ and things start to come together, they build relationships with one another within the program, and then eventually they go out and try to mend those fences again, that broken relationships they've had with their family, because drug and alcohol addiction affects so many lives, just so many lives. It's incredible.
Right, and to recognize it. Now let's talk about the addiction program, the division there, because one thing I liked that you said about was the 80% success rate that you have. So walk me through that program, or walk our audience through that program, especially if they're suffering with loved ones that have these addiction programs, and how we can help them, because this is what this is really all about.
Yeah, it really is. If a man or a woman comes into our emergency shelter and they need help, they go into a 90-day program where we really look at, it's kind of a triage. We find out, are they really serious about getting into recovery? Do they have medical problems? Maybe they have some mental issues that they got to deal with, legal issues, all sorts of things like that. So we find out if they're really serious. I know on the men's side that about 50% get through that. Once they get through that, they go to our camp down in by Bloomington, which is 285 acres, surrounded by 12,000 acres of state forest. They are out in the sticks.
You have isolated.
Isolated, yes.
Isolated, okay.
Yes, and that's been one of my desires, because I've been with Wheeler now for 21 years, and we always had our addiction program right downtown. Well, they could walk right out on the sidewalk and get the drug of their choice, or go around the corner and get the booze, whatever, Whereas down there, they're out in the sticks, and they're down there for 7 months. And where they're in classes, they're in work therapy, life skills, and things like that, where we really deal with some of the core issues. And we give them the tools to get into recovery. And you know, we've had 80% of the men that go down there actually graduate from the program. And that's exciting.
That is exciting, and I like the success rate. And I do like the alumni program when they come back and the breakfasts and community. And one thing that we talked about, Rick, also, you were saying that you depend on the community, the church community, to keep the process going and the success growing. Is that
exactly? Even though Wheeler's been around for 118 years, you know, we really rely on the local church to be able to be the source there where they can begin to mentor these men and women graduating from the programs and get them involved in the local church. That's necessary.
That's the key. That's absolutely the key. Well, is there anything else? We got about a few seconds. You want to say to the community?
Well, I mean, we can always use financial support. You know, we talk about clothing and food, but you know, finances takes our average gift is $54. So it's $7 million budget. That takes a lot of those gifts.
It takes a lot.
No matter how small, how large, we can use you know, gifts of money as well. Hey.
Well, we're so glad that you came on our program today, and being the man, and Merry Christmas.
Yes.
And we will be back after these messages.
Only 7 days left in the countdown to the Church Federation's 2012 Centennial celebrations, which begin in January 2012 and marks the 100-year milestone of the organization. For more information on the events and activities, visit indyfaith.org. Thanks for joining us on Religion in the News. Be sure to tune in next week for another exciting episode. You can share your upcoming event on our calendar by sending it to us at least 2 weeks in advance to the Wish TV address on the screen, or email your event and prayer request to us at religion@wishtv.com. You can also check us out on Facebook under Religion in the News. Check out our guest information and calendar events this week by visiting wishtv.com. Click on Community and then on Religion in the News. Also visit the Church Federation of Greater Indianapolis website at indyfaith.org. Here's our calendar. Have a great week.